And audio production, Audacity.
Oh, now you're giving away how the sausage is made.
Yeah,
Today on the
sure.
GudeLaurance podcast, we're talking about sausage and how to make it.
Oh no, I quit Audacity instead of
First, find
doing
yourself
what I meant to do.
some meat and sausage up that meat with a sausage machine.
Discard projects. I'm just going to do that.
If you want to talk about sausage, call us at 216-586-4524.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Good. Are we live already?
We are live already.
Hey, everybody. So this is where
Paul.
I cut my thumb
Cut your thumb.
with a serrated bread knife.
What did you do?
It wasn't good. I left my phone clip on. I totally was cutting a tough piece of bread, sliced open my thumb, put a Band-Aid on it. Actually, Jennifer put a Band-Aid on it with me, for me. I was there when it happened, but she was the one doing the work. And then during that time, yes, the orange light that I love so much. During that time, I was not a big baby. I was pretty good, but I was like, can you put it? And so she put it on and made it real tight. And then when I got up this morning, took the Band-Aid off, and when I took it off, it had slipped during the night, and so what was over the wound now wasn't the white part, but it was the sticky part.
Okay.
And so I just ripped open the wound when I took the Band-Aid off, and it started bleeding down my arm. And I looked at it for a while, and so being dispassionate and looking at it, and like, well, I should make sure that this doesn't get super bad again. I put some gauze on it, and then I took electrician's tape, and I taped it up until my thumb was completely black, with electrician's tape. Not until the circulation was off and my thumb turned black, but really tight. And then I left it like that for a while because I was like, okay, so I'm supposed to put pressure on it. And then I found another Band-Aid, and I unwrapped it from the gauze and the duct tape, and it was, it had blood on it and everything, gross.
Yeah.
And then I looked at it, and it started to bleed just a little bit. So while it was bleeding just a little bit, I put this Band-Aid on. And now I'm fine. But I'm afraid to take it off because I'm afraid it's going to start bleeding again.
Right. I realized this morning that I had scraped my knuckle somehow. I do this a lot. You can't see it because, of course, of my previously, if I'd been wearing my hip fingerless gloves, I wouldn't done it. But it's
you should never take them off, Ben. It's your trademark now.
It's one of those things where I have no idea how it happened, but it happened long ago enough that it's already infected.
Ouch.
It's not like purple or anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it happened, and so I didn't know enough to clean it.
Just redness around it.
Yeah, I'm not going to show. It's not that bad, but it's.
Does
but it's
anything come out when you squeeze it, Ben?
No, nothing comes out. It's just it just
Okay.
looks like that. It just looks like I got mad at a cement wall, but with only one knuckle.
We all know, about your famous temper. That
my famous temper.
Ben Lawrence just
punching walls.
The drywall.
Oh, the drywall killed my dad.
So, I watched all of Snowpiercer, the TV series.
I didn't realize there was a TV series.
I watched an episode of The Watch, the new Terry Pratchett series.
Okay.
I watched all of Killing Eve. I've watched a lot of things. I watched Killing Eve though before. We just never talked about it. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of shows recently, mostly because this is my gaming thumb, and I can't game with it. Well, it's.
I've not watched a lot of shows. I have watched a lot of YouTube, but a lot of the same YouTube because during the last 2 weeks, I've not had like real work, but I have created this archive, this data archive project for myself. I'm like redoing how I deal with archiving projects and stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is being here at the theater at my desk back there, just like copying data, changing drives, formatting drives, checking drives. And so I've just been like killing time watching YouTube. So I've hoovered up most of Matt Parker's stand-up maths channel.
Wait, he has a stand-up math channel?
It's just the name of his channel. It's where he does all of his normal content.
Is it YouTube or?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Stand-up maths for Matt Parker. He's a pretty funny and smart dude.
Oh yeah, I like Matt Parker a lot.
Yeah. And Adam Savage's Tested channel. I've not watched a lot of his one-day builds because I'm not a maker, so that stuff doesn't really interest me all that much. But he does answer questions about Mythbusters and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel it's one of those things where, so it's been almost a solid 2 weeks, and I have done nothing productive except copy folders from one set of drives to another. I feel like I feel like I may have like wasted this time, but I guess that's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to not feel like I need to be constantly doing things. It's okay to not do things.
Yeah, it's really important actually. I feel like enjoying things like eating, like enjoying I've tried since, and this is part of the pandemic thing, since I'm working from home now. I've done my best to try to take my lunch break instead of working through lunch, and actually enjoy what I still don't do it. I still treat food like fuel and everything, but the idea of being like an old British man who really loves his eggs on toast or whatever.
Right.
Oh, marmalade. Hooray. Like, I would love to be able to do that. So I'm working on it a little bit.
Speaking of that, I need to go grocery shopping.
Oh, yeah, we probably have to, too. I have dishes I need to do. Again, haven't done the dishes because of this. Hey, guess what, Ben?
What's that, Paul?
Something I forgot to mention. Pacific Medical Center in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
I wrote to them, and I got the doctor's notes from my psychologist, or psychiatrist, rather, that I visited there. And did you know that I have ADHD?
I think we may have talked about that once or twice.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's when you see there and you're reading about it, it makes an impression. I have to say he was pretty even-handed. He wasn't like, oh, this guy. He was pretty nice about it. But yeah, it's a lot of it was watching ADHD TikTok. There are a couple of people on there that talk about it, and I'm like, hey, I do that, or hey, I don't. And so there are tips that I may try to start incorporating into my life. And one of the things is that if you have ADHD, if you can't see something, it doesn't exist for you. You forget that you have the stuff or whatever. And so one of the things that they suggested were pegboards. But they also suggested hanging up your clothes, and I've done the opposite. I put them in buckets, which is why I wear the same clothes all the time, because they're the ones on the top of the pile, basically. But yeah. With a pegboard, instead of leaving everything cluttered on your desk, you have it all up on a wall, and you can, see it. So I don't know.
Going back to not having done the dishes, I do the dishes every time I leave my house. In fact, I always try to leave my house in such a state as if I'm going to die that day and somebody else has to come in and clean it up. I don't want it to be a mess.
Yeah,
My bed
it's
is
real
made,
nice.
the dishes are done, the laundry's put away.
I put a copy of my last will and testament on the
Exactly.
fridge. Yeah, it's a good plan. I have the exact opposite. I want to leave as much evidence around as possible, just in case anything happens.
Yes. I know this about
know.
you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You had to visit the crime scene, as it were.
Indeed.
Yeah. Whenever Jennifer does Skype calls with her, or not Skype, Zoom calls with her family every once in a while.
Yeah.
Teaches them how to cook stuff. And they always have stuff to say about the state of our floors. And the thing is that Jennifer can't really, because of her muscle things, she can't really do anything. So it's up to me to do the cleaning.
Yeah.
And I don't care enough about it to do it. And so it's a war of attrition, or a stalemate, if you will.
I once cleaned the floor in the kitchen of Mr. House. I did this a couple times, actually, where I would get down on my hands and knees and just scrub it. And the difference, I have a couple pictures. I'm not going to show them, because I don't have them on me. But the difference that it makes was insane. But I got discouraged because the floor would just get dirtier quicker every time I cleaned it. Like
that makes sense.
I cleaned it once, and then it would get it would stay clean for a couple weeks, and then it would get dirty again. And then I would clean it again, and it would stay clean for a week, and then it would just get as dirty, and if not dirtier again. It was like the more I cleaned it, the more dirty it got afterwards. I didn't understand that law. Unless I was scrubbing up some sort of like a linoleum sealant.
Yeah, I wonder if it's maybe that just when it was really dirty the first time, you were so used to how bad it looked.
Yeah.
That when it went the second time, you remembered how extra clean it was, and your expectations were raised, so it looked dirtier. Best. I don't know if that's true. Anyway, Jennifer is planning on hiring someone to clean her house.
Oh, there you go.
Which is smart. I mean, we can do it.
You could do what my mom did and clean the house before the house cleaner got there.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Because I'm hiring someone to clean my house. I don't want them to think that I'm an animal.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. I'm still concerned about what's going to happen when lockdown ends. If I'm going to have to move to the place where my job is right now. And, Jennifer wisely keeps on saying, why don't you ask them?
Yeah.
But, then that's, I have this idea that asking them shows my hand a little bit. Like, and then, because, of course, if they want us to move, the ideal thing would be for them to move us. That would be.
Right. And
otherwise.
As you've said before, it's you won't say where it is, but it is not in the city you live in currently.
Right, and the cost of living at the new place where it would be is much higher.
We've already established it's not Seattle.
So, yeah, and it's too bad.
New York City.
Although, New York City, bring the rope. That's always, to me, oh my God.
What?
A little bit dark for a commercial.
Oh yeah, and these cowboys are gonna hang somebody because they got the wrong salsa or something, whatever it was.
Exactly.
Pace picante sauce, is that commercial?
Pace is the good one.
Yeah.
They're gonna hang the guy because he has the wrong.
Right.
And see, this is a problem with ads. A lot of people, after seeing that ad, was like, Pace, that's the one from New York City. No.
Actually,
you remember Pace. And you remember New York City,
right.
And those are the two things you remember.
Get a rope. Actually, what that does is the current polarization of America can be traced back to that one ad campaign where you had your New York people and your urban people, and never the twain shall agree.
Ben, I gotta say, I have today I fell off the wagon for the first time in a long time. I didn't want to go on Twitter, but I did fall into a public freakout hole, if you will.
Oh, on Reddit?
Yeah. And the thing that I saw that I thought was kind of interesting, a lot of the people, some of the clips I saw had at least one person with a thin blue line flag.
Oh, yeah.
Yelling at police officers. And this is a very important thing about the United States of America, Ben, and I think that this is why we flip and flop back and forth. Because people, by and large, will support the police if the police are taking action on people that they don't agree with.
Of course.
So, when someone who is trying to break into the Oregon State Capitol or whatever because they think that the election was stolen are getting shouted down by a police officer, someone who doesn't like the police when they're at a Black Lives Matter protest shutting that down will watch that. And I say someone, me, when I'm like, hey, don't do that to the Black Lives Matter people, and then I see them shutting down the people that are trying to break into the Oregon State Capitol, I'm like, ha, there you go. That's now things are fine.
If we're talking,
the police are good again.
Exactly.
Like that.
If we're talking about subreddits that sort of play into that, there's the whole leopards ate my face subreddit where it's
like I voted for the leopard face eating party and now leopards have eaten my face.
That has to
like
be
that?
I'm sure there's some sort of cultural genesis of that is beyond me.
I think that's it.
Yeah, but it's that thing. It's like, somebody whose Twitter handle has like a thin blue line flag, but they post a tweet about how the cops are terrible. Hey, we're getting a call.
Hey, who's this calling us?
Let's find out.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
This is exciting.
God.
To accept, press
Did you
1.
accept?
To send a voice.
I hit 11. Caller, are you there?
I am.
Hey!
There's a caller on the line.
How goes?
It goes. So, Paul, I know who
Yes,
this is.
Ben.
I don't know if you do. This is our friend Chris Nill. Chris was the
Hey, Chris.
the TD of Spin the Bottle. I don't know, Chris. Did you do Spin the Bottle when we were performing?
No, I came on and replaced Michael. I think. It was shortly after I started Weird and Awesome, so it had to have been like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was right after.
Wait, you started
Paul
Weird and
left.
Awesome?
He did.
Oh,
He didn't
I did not start
it.
I started archiving it somewhere right before.
Oh.
I did the last one that Barbara Holm was on, and then continued forth from there.
Barbara Holm. I like Barbara Holm. Yeah. And of course Emmett. We're not the reason we have a soft spot. Boy,
A what,
the
Paul?
mouth just isn't working. Yeah, a soft spot in our hearts for Weird and Awesome. It's good.
Soft spots in our heart.
Yeah, I think I said sparts. I think I just said we have sparts. Is what I said.
We
Not
have
what I meant.
Soft farts.
Yeah. So, what's on your mind?
Oh, not much. I saw the call in, and thought I'd call in and see how y'all are doing. I mean,
Yeah.
This is great. You know, you are our first non-ringer call-in, if that makes sense. Stephen McCandless is basically an honorary member of this podcast.
that
at this
sounds about
point.
right.
But so it's pretty cool. You know, I'm still out here in Illinois, and it's COVID is still happening here.
Still happening everywhere.
We're we passed 200,000 cases. No, sorry, 21,000 cases in my county of 300,000. So almost to 1 in 10. We're rapidly ramping up.
I think the last time I saw. Oh, the last time I saw Seattle numbers, I think we were at like what 4,500 a day was like one of the latest ones.
It's bonkers.
Yeah, it's so much smaller scale on this side. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have this, but there's a thing out here now where you can be a restaurant and serve people as long as you're outside.
Yeah,
and
we've got that right now.
People have set up these what look like basically CDC hot zone tents outside of their restaurants that are completely sealed out from the out. It's you're still outside, but you're basically in this inflatable tent with forced air. So I don't know how exactly it's legal, but they're doing it.
I actually live, if you're familiar with the area I'm in, I live above Laredo's Mexican Grill and Bar.
Oh.
Which
I'm
is,
nodding. I'm sorry if you can't.
Oh, it's been around for a while, but it's on Taylor and Aloha and Lower Queen Anne area, closer to the new QFC, and it's interesting. It's ever since things moved outside, it's been a little less peaceful, especially during New Year's.
Yeah, is it loud?
Oh, it is. I try to do all of my voiceover work between the hours of like 9 a.m. and basically whenever they open, because otherwise it's impossible. They come up through the floor.
Can you explain a little bit more about this voiceover work that you're doing?
I'm just kind of working on getting stuff rolling. I'm in the process of getting my demo reel up and together. I do sound design for voiceover demo reels, and I just, you work enough on other people's stuff, and you have a hard time getting rolling on your own stuff.
Oh, sure. But, I mean, by that time, you've done it so much. That's what I like, is that you become so used to it that by the time it's time to work on your stuff, you're kind of, that's how it was with me for writing stuff. I was copywriting for so long that working on my own stuff, as long as it was copywriting related, was a lot easier. Because I'm like, oh, I've done this before for important people. Why should I take a back seat? Even though I do. I think we all do. It's harder when it's you.
I keep on running into that artist problem of where you're like, I know how to do this at a very high quality, which makes me afraid, because if I don't perform at a level that I think is like equitable to that, then what's the point when you still you just have to do it and fuck up,
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about this earlier this week, and I never actually finished it. I did a version of Danny Boy on a TikTok, and there was a commenter who said, "Speaking for Ireland, no."
Oh God.
And I deleted it immediately, because I'm like, okay, if Ireland says that your version of Danny Boy is bad, you should delete it. You shouldn't have it. And I wanted to go on this big rant about how bad comments on stuff that people do when it's of lower quality don't really do anything but end the career there, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I'm not going to try that anymore, and then they stop. And it reminded me of something George Burns said. He was talking about the death of vaudeville and how he was sad when it went away because there was no place for people to go to be lousy. And I didn't get it at first. But really, that's kind of what, I mean, if you'll forgive the implication, I don't mean it this way necessarily, but favorable houses like Spin the Bottle and Weird and Awesome, where the audience is there and they know that what they're going to see isn't what they would normally see. You know, I'm trying something new. You know, at Weird and Awesome, I remember there was a thing where people were trying stuff that was outside of their comfort zone. That was one of the preambles of the speech for the one that I went to. And maybe it was a specific night, I don't know. But same thing with Annex, Spin the Bottle. Lots of times people would workshop stuff there, you know, and well, at least for Ben and I, we never knew how something was going to go. Because we did it that night, and then we didn't really do it again, except when we cheated and we did it again.
I was actually having a conversation with Jade just yesterday about kind of like, because, you know, I've pulled back from theater recently to kind of like do work on my own stuff. And I had this kind of realization of one of the things that's a problem with Seattle theater is you have two different kind of places. You have like your act and your rep, and that's where you go to put art on display. And you have your fringe theaters like Annex, and that's where you make art. And the problem is that a lot of people are trying to make display level art at Annex, and that's not how it works. And that's why a lot of people end up getting burned out. And like, you just have to make fucking stupid shit and then just roll with it, and then you take it and polish it and bring it to a large house.
Absolutely. And this is something, and I hate to, if Jennifer, if you're listening to this, I'm stealing one of Jennifer's stories because she was just talking to me about this. How a friend of hers saw her in something at Annex one time and was like, you know, that wasn't really done. And she said, look, that's what I do. This is new work. If you're looking for me to be in something that's complete and finished, this is not the venue for that. The idea is that this is where the stuff gets made, and then some college will take it and do something with it, and then you'll see the finished piece that you're looking for. But if you're going to come and see my stuff here, don't have that expectation, because you'll always be disappointed.
Expect something fun, something raw.
I mean, for me, that's the reason why Annex was the place to go to, because that's what I like. And that's where a lot of the more magical things can happen, because it is, you know, to use a weird metaphor, it's wild magic. It's not ritual. So you're going to get something that's that you will only experience that night and that night only. A lightning in the bottle.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's some shows, and that's one of my other favorite things is there's some stuff that why I think Annex is so important is it's also stuff that would never get produced anywhere else is what Annex does too. Like one of my, actually the first show that when I became on staff at Annex was Is She Dead Yet? That wasn't going to go up anywhere else. Not off the get-go.
Yeah, for the listener, can you explain a little bit about the show?
So, Is She Dead Yet was a story about the last black woman on Earth. And she had a heart that was essentially a ticking time bomb, and it was going to run out. It was an extreme commentary on, like, just whiteness. It was about whiteness, which was amazing because Laurie Utterback made an entire spread of white food for opening night. It was amazing.
I attended a party at Laurie Utterback's where they made food from the 1950s Betty Crocker cookbook. A lot of, and I'm wondering if there's a lot of crossover between those two spreads, if you will.
Oh, very much. There was like a
gelatin used.
But yeah, a lot of really cool stuff.
Cool. I've been making a lot of like audio adjustments here just for reasons personal to me. So I don't know if I'm screwing anything up or making it better. But I ooh, and hopefully that's still recording. Oh my god. So yeah. So I'm glad you guys have been having a conversation because I've been frantically trying to just do things over here and it doesn't seem to be working. There we go. Hey, that's recording me
Just
again.
a peek behind the
Hey.
curtain here, Chris. I'm actually recording my own audio here at my house, and then I send it to Ben, and Ben stitches it together.
Oh, yeah,
So
that makes sense.
I don't know how. I guess your audio is. Are you recording it on a separate track, or is it melded with yours, Ben?
Me? I'm recording my audio onto Adobe Audition here, but because I've been changing some sound things, it freaks out, so it stopped. But I'll tell you what, I just started recording the Zoom thing in case I needed it, because I forgot to do that when the show started. And I'm recording the phone call, so I'm recording Chris on Audacity running on this monitor here,
Hey, how
so
do
I
you do
can
Audacity?
lay that in.
If you are you using OBS for the stream?
No, I'm using Wirecast.
Oh, okay. The way I've been routing stuff is I've just been doing it all with loopback, and then kind of like an OBS actually has the ability to have multiple different audio streams, so you can have like your program and then your like isolated microphones, which is really great. It records an MOV or MKV with like all of the different separated tracks. It's really cool.
Right. I should probably open up the mixer and because I have been using loopback and I've created a new output module with loopback, but I couldn't. It just in this conversation couldn't figure out how to get it to my headphones. But now that I reopen up the audio mixer here, I'll play with it. I'll get it right eventually. But in the meantime, to hear you, I have to turn on the feed and hear
monitor
everything
speakers.
I say and Paul says twice, which is awesome and not distracting at all.
Yeah, it's not like there isn't a weapon that somebody has created. It's a social weapon. It's not a dangerous weapon, but it's a thing that you point at someone, and then they hear their words like a half second later after they say it.
Yeah.
And it supposedly
Yeah.
messes with your brain so that you stop talking.
I used to
That's
do
happening to you now, Ben, but you did it to yourself.
I'm doing it to myself. I'll figure it out. Not a big deal.
Speaking of figuring it out, halfway through the show, do we have any show notes from people? Any corrections?
We have no corrections today.
Hey, that's all right. We got it all right last time.
Well, last time I don't know, Chris. I don't know if you watched the last week's show, but we had Eric Ray Anderson and John Paulson on from the Twin Peaks: The Return. Is that what it was called?
Oh wow!
Yep, Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah.
Did you watch that, Chris?
I did not.
Don't put him on the spot. Maybe
unfortunately.
he didn't. Maybe they didn't.
Although I did.
That's why I wanted to see if he had seen it or not, so that I wouldn't spoil it for him. You should see it. It's really good.
I'll check it out.
They're two local actors who, local for Seattle anyway, who happen to be in one of my favorite scenes, and Ben got them onto the podcast.
As a Christmas surprise.
Very nice.
Yeah. Really cool. And that's two good things that Ben has done for me, at least. I'm sure there were more.
That's all you get.
Ben has done a lot of wonderful things for me.
Yeah, he's a just between you and me, he's a great guy, isn't he? For
Yeah,
sure.
I think so.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
A mensch, as people would say.
When I was working at the photography company, I once got a haircut, and I didn't really like it all that much, but whatever, it's a haircut, it grows out. And one of my supervisors was like, "Hey, did you get a haircut?" I'm like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Oh, it looks really nice." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really like it," and she's like, "Well, just take the compliment." And so that was actually it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I gotta learn how to take compliments. Because I'm very self-conscious, and I'm like, I just like people are maybe I need to excuse the haircut in some way, or I would be too vain to be like, yeah, I look pretty good right now. But and I don't want to come off that way. So it's just one of those things that I always think about whenever someone says like, oh yeah, you do good work, or oh yeah, the haircut looks like, oh yeah, well, thank you. I am working hard to accept a compliment.
Yeah, it's easier for me to accept compliments, but usually, yeah, I just go thanks or whatever, and it feels like maybe it's enough. But yeah, a compliment is always better for me than you have disgraced all of Ireland or whatever. Criticism much harder for me to take.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm a narcissist, so there's that.
I mean, if you're in entertainment, I think it's kind of it's a requirement.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's a bit that I want to do, but I've never figured out how to record it exactly correct, where it's a Q&A at a sci-fi convention, and they're taking questions from the audience, and somebody gets up to the mic and says, "Hi, I'm a narcissist." And then there's just a long silence. You're welcome. And then he sits back down. Because that's kind of my experience at those venues.
Yeah.
And maybe once out of every 2 times, I'm that guy. You were there, weren't you, Ben, when George R.R. Martin came to town?
I don't believe I was.
Huh.
I mean, yeah. Was he at a bookstore? Did you go to a signing?
He was at the town hall, actually.
Okay.
And it was when I was in the throes of my near marriage-ending obsession with the Game of Thrones casting.
Near friend-ending obsession too.
Yeah, nobody liked it. It was so Game of Thrones was casting, and I got switched out of Strattera to Adderall at the same time, and it just the perfect storm happened. It was not good. I made tons of balls out of duct tape and spent all night on the boards arguing over who should play Robert Baratheon or whatever. Which, to this day, I still find it hilarious. Who normal people think should be cast in roles.
Right.
And it normally goes down to people who have played a character who is dressed like or has the same facial feature and or hair as the character's description in the book that they're reading.
Mm.
But as you can see, I'm getting a little bit too close to the sun there, so we're going to pull it back. Talk about something else.
Come back to Earth, Apollo.
What's going on in the news?
Oh gosh.
That's right. It's time for Paul's gonna guess the news.
Paul gonna guess the news.
Yeah. Here we go.
Because for our listener and for Chris on the line, Paul stays off of Twitter and doesn't read the news, so he tries to guess.
Although
the news.
I was on Public Freakout, so I think I'm gonna get some of these.
Well,
probably.
Maybe I won't say anything from Public Freakout. There's not been a lot of every time we do this segment, there's always just like one major story. I can't really think of anything else. Of course, that story today being being Congress's inability to get stimulus checks out to the American people. It was.
Now, I don't want to tell tales out of school, but I have already received my stimulus check.
You have?
I have.
Was it $600?
Yeah, direct deposit. Mm-hmm.
Like today or yesterday?
New Year's Eve, I guess, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, well, good for you. So anyway...
maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't know what happened, but yeah. I looked... And just so that you know, the way that they send it out to... so I filed jointly with Jennifer. And whatever you have set up for your direct deposit, and do you have direct deposit for your taxes?
I do. So the last time they sent a stimulus, it went right into my bank account.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but I get it for all for myself and my 2 dependents. So it was one big drop
Nice.
on the day. So yeah, already got it.
Well, I did not know
that's
that.
not even guessing news. I'm telling you news. It's a scoop.
That's totally news to me. But connected to that,
Wait, when did you file? Just out of curiosity.
when did I file? Like in 2019? I filed it probably in late March.
Okay, that's probably why. Maybe, because I file as soon as they take. I file early every single year.
Yeah, I can't think of any other news stories. I mean, there are a couple of things. Like 2 members of Congress's houses got vandalized. One from each party.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So let's see. Can you guess which? One was a representative, and one was a senator. Can you guess which 2 people had their houses violated for probably the same reason? I'm guessing by probably the same kind of people.
Boy, this is not going to be great. Let's see. I'm just going to guess. Is AOC House of Representatives?
Yes.
Or is AOC a senator?
No, she's a.
Okay, I'm going to guess AOC just because people love to not like her. And then Senator.
Who's the main bad guy in the Senate these days?
That's a tough choice.
I mean, is Sanders a senator?
He is, but I said one from each
But it's
party.
not him. Okay, yeah, from what you're saying, it's not him. Oh! Speaker of the House.
Yes.
No, Speaker of the Senate. Wait, is it Speaker?
He's the
Nancy
Senate.
Pelosi.
So, okay, 2 things. Nancy Pelosi was the right answer, but she is the
did it.
She is the Speaker of the House, and the other person.
But wait, she's a senator.
No, she's a representative.
Wait, okay, so Nancy Pelosi. Okay, I got who was who wrong.
Yeah, and
So I'm not right. Don't say that I'm right because I'm not.
Well, I mean, you were right, and you got the person
right.
You got the person right.
The politics side of it completely wrong.
So, Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, had her house vandalized, her house in San Francisco, and somebody put a pig's head on her driveway, whatever that's about. And Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had his house vandalized in Kentucky.
Oh.
And I read on, of course, Reddit, because that's where I Reddit things, is that somebody who seemed very well in the know said that this is McConnell's house in Kentucky, just to have an address there. He never lives there. He just lives in D.C. and doesn't really care about that house, blah, blah, blah. Random person on the internet. Who knows if you can believe them. But I will make a wager.
Now, both of those folks, that's interesting.
Yeah, so somebody tagged McConnell's house in Kentucky, like, "Where's my money, Mitch?" or something like that. I will.
Mitch better have my money.
Mitch better have my money.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's not bad.
Thank you, Twitter, for that.
I'll make a prediction today. You're gonna hear it here first. If they find the person who vandalized Mitch McConnell's house, it's going to be a Trump supporter wanting to frame Antifa.
Yes, a repeat of the Blacks Rule Twitter meme, which was an actual thing that actually happened in the world.
I am unfamiliar with the Blacks Rule Twitter meme.
Some guy complained that his house was vandalized.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There was spray paint that said Blacks Rule.
Because that's what people spray paint.
Yeah, that was, actually here in Edwardsville, a town of, Ben, how many people live in Edwardsville, did we decide? 25,000?
N number to the power of X.
Yeah, just so you know, Chris, Ben and I famously not great at guessing population size.
But
That makes sense.
Back when we had a fact checker who worked regularly to check our facts, we would get that wrong often. So, but anyway, yeah. And the people that do that spray paint BLM, but this time someone also spray painted Klan Lives Matter.
Klan Lives
So,
Matter.
Yikes.
I'm gonna go with my guess is that it's just some kids who just want to spray paint stuff,
Yep.
trying to frame anyone that they can.
I've
Basically.
just heard from the chat that our friend Rob also got his stimulus check.
Hey!
Or stimulus deposit. I should go and check mine.
Yeah, go and check. Go and
But
check.
I can't help but feel that we're ignoring Chris. You're staying on the line,
Chris, hey!
so
Yeah.
nicely for us.
Actually, did you hear?
Maybe
about
we
the,
should. Maybe
Washington
Paul.
State thing?
Wait, Chris is
Yeah.
saying something, Ben.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, did you
Go ahead,
hear
Chris.
about? Did you hear about what Jay Inslee is doing for Washington State since the Senate drug their heels on Trump drug his heels on the bill?
No.
So Jay Inslee, governor of Washington State, saw that people who are on unemployment weren't going to be getting a check essentially for like another week or two because of when it got signed. So straight out of Washington's budgets, they're paying $550 to everybody who qualifies for PUA or the PEUC unemployment.
That's really cool. Inslee
Nice.
seems to be doing right by the people. I feel like.
Yeah. I dig him. I think he's cool.
Illinois, I don't think we're doing anything like that.
Do you have
It's
a
funny.
Do you have a Republican governor?
No, we have a Democratic governor,
Okay.
Pritzker.
I barely know
people
her.
have a lot of signs in rural Illinois, where I live, that say Pritzker sucks. That's all it is. It's just a sign that says Pritzker sucks. Because people hate the fact that Chicago is in Illinois. It's
Yes.
the dumbest
Seattle.
thing.
Seattle gets that too from
People
the east
around
side.
here, they're fans of the Missouri sports teams, and they don't like it. Which I get. Chicago's farther away, sure, whatever. But since I was born in Chicago, I have more of an allegiance to it than most people around here, because it's cool. Living there would be difficult for me if I had to drive anywhere, because traffic is crazy.
Yeah.
But whenever we visit, Jennifer drives, so it's all fine.
So what I was saying before I so rudely interrupted Chris is that maybe we should start a new segment here where the listener asks Paul any question they want, and Paul will have to give an answer regardless of whether or not he has an answer.
Okay, I like that.
How's that? How do you feel about that, Paul?
I'm good with it. Let's do it.
All right, Chris. Do you have any sort of question, anything whatsoever? It can be as absurd or as normal as you want.
Paul, what is your favorite video game?
Oh, wow. That is
normal
a good question. My favorite video game. First off, let me say I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077 a whole bunch right now.
Yeah.
And
Same.
and I like it. When it's not crashing, which it does often. But my favorite video game of all time has to be Antichamber, which is a weird. It was. I think it was called the Game of Life. I think it started out with that name, but I'm not positive. It's full of non-Euclidean puzzles.
Ooh.
And it's really interesting. I think they still have it on Steam.
gonna check that out.
That's time, out of all the Anti-Chamber, ANTI chamber. It really, you have to think in different ways in order to make it through. And I have not beaten it. I still come back to it, but I've reached an impasse. So I don't play it as much. And then also, I just full disclosure, Skyrim probably is the one that I put the most time into. And it's because I love generating new characters and trying new pathways and stuff like that.
We got a +1 from Rob in the chat for Antichamber. He says it's amazing.
Hey, awesome. Hey, Ben, what's Rob's last name?
Well, I don't know if I want to give Rob's last name on the stream. I'll ask him if that's okay.
Just to narrow down the Robs that I know, which Rob is it? Can you tell me something about the Rob? Because I have an idea in my head about which Rob it is, but I don't want to.
I don't think you know this Rob.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe you do. I know. You know some people I don't know. Maybe you do. But
this Rob knows about Antichamber, yet somehow I don't know this Rob.
Do you know everybody who plays this game?
No, I don't.
I've actually myself just finished a game on my Quest 2. I'm bad.
Your quest to what, Ben?
My quest to finally finish a GD game.
Thank you.
I finished Lies Beneath, which is this comic book art style, sort of like zombie kind of shoot 'em up games. It was super fun. It was. It took me a while. I tried to estimate last night how long it took me. I estimated 10 hours, and when I went into the thing, it doesn't keep track of how long you have apps open, which I think is a shame because I'd like to know how long have I been.
Oh yeah,
how long have
That's
I been?
That's a metric that wouldn't be too hard to gather.
Yeah. So anyway, I finally finished the game, and I downloaded this Jurassic Park. I think it's like Jurassic World.
Oh, okay.
Afterworld, I want to say. It's basically you don't shoot anything, you just hide from velociraptors, and it's kind of intense.
Oh, that's got to be Hey, speaking of hiding from velociraptors, hey Ben!
Hey Chris, you get to be here for the weekly Yelling for Betty segment.
Yeah, I don't know how long. Ben and I always are saying there might be a ticking clock on this. She, as Stephen has mentioned, lots of times when this happens, it's not really involving Betty as much as it could be. I guess we could say.
Oh, well, we did that thing where we had Chris online and we just kept talking to each other and not involving them.
Oh yeah. So maybe what will happen is I'm going to hand the headphones over to Betty, and then Betty and Chris can have a really quick conversation to make up for this. Hey, talk to Chris first.
Get ready.
He's not.
Hello, Chris, sir.
Hi, Betty.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just hanging around, being me. Nothing else to say. Nothing new is going on, I guess. Oh, I did get some LED lights in my room, and they are really pretty.
Cool.
Oh, nice. I just got a couple color-changing light bulbs for my office. It's pretty fun.
Cool. That's kind of it.
What colors do you like to put best on your LED lights?
Red and blue.
Nice.
And sometimes pink.
Kind of almost like the retro wave kind of colors?
Yeah, I guess. That's kind of it.
Okay, I'll take it back.
All right.
See you guys later.
Thanks, Betty.
Bye.
So that's kind of how conversations with Betty goes these days.
Yeah, but The big thing is that she's got a lot more online friends now. So before she was starved for human interaction, and now she just wants to get back to human interaction. So I guess that's good.
That is good.
That's what my sister says is about her kid, my nephew, is that he doesn't see anybody in real life, but he's got tons of friends that he plays video games with, and so he's sociable. But the whole in-person learning how to like deal with interpersonal relationships, which is a very important part of your high school experience, is kind of getting lost.
Yeah, I wonder if our kids are even going to have to worry about that. It's just going to be them talking to AIs, and if they see another human, it'll be just every once in a while.
We're going to be locked down for the foreseeable future till your children are, I'm not going to say our children, your children are grown up.
If you listen back to this podcast over a while, you'll hear me talk about this a lot, about how we were being conditioned to just talk over computers and not really go outside that much. And we were planning for something, and I didn't know what it was. And I thought maybe it was for space travel or for living underground. And then the pandemic happened. And I'm not saying that that's what it was, but I think we over the past 10 years, no, even I'd say the past 20 years, if you chart our activity and what we do, we're much more suited for a lockdown now than we would have been back in the 80s. I think people in the 80s would have gone insane.
Oh, for
more
sure.
so than we're going insane. Oh, shoot. And also the 80s, that's actually 40 years ago. I just realized that.
That hurts.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yep. Alrighty.
So the podcast still has 4 minutes. Oh no, 3 minutes and like 45 seconds. Normally, what do we do at this time? We normally at this time, Ben, start an entirely new topic that takes more than 3 minutes to talk about.
Hey, so how about that brand new TV show that you and I both love? Let's go in depth. Mandalorian! Let's talk about The Mandalorian!
Hey, you know what? I've only seen season 1 of The Mandalorian, but I know everything that happened in The Mandalorian season 2 because people wrote, don't read this if you haven't seen The Mandalorian season 2. And I was like, I don't care.
Of course you read it.
Yeah. And good for them. Good for them. I let me just say, for the record, I liked The Force Awakens. I thought The Last Jedi was fine.
High praise.
What's that?
High praise.
Oh, it was fine.
It was fine. That was my reaction to Wonder Woman 1984.
Wait a second. Hold on. The Last Jedi was actually good. The Last Jedi, I'm sorry, I was thinking of The Rise of Skywalker being okay. I really liked The Last Jedi. It's something that a lot of people hated. I loved it. Because it's all about how source material shouldn't be sacred. And I think that's cool. And I like the fact that there was just some kid who had the Force at the end.
Yeah, and we never see that kid. Maybe that kid will show up in one of those dozen TV shows that Disney announced.
Now, those of you at home, I don't know if you heard this, Ben, but those of you at home heard the beeping of my watch, which beeps every hour. It's the default setting of the Timex that I got for Christmas.
And you haven't changed it?
No, because it always surprises me. I'm like, an hour's gone by already? It's great. It's so useful for me keeping track of my what someone has termed time dysphoria, which is nice.
Yeah, well, Paul, this hour goes by far too quickly. It's time to go. Chris, thank you so much for calling in and talking. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, Chris, thanks. And I hope you feel like you talked more than Ben and I feel like you talked, because we both are cognizant of the fact that we monopolized the conversation.
Well,
a bit too much.
I mean, Chris is more than willing and capable to just hang up the phone. If the conversation ever gets a little bit too one-sided.
I see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I wasn't gonna hang
I
up.
would,
Polite
except
for that,
I'm
then.
also a
That's the
narcissist.
thing.
So.
Alrighty.
Hey, and
well done.
Chris, do you have anything that you want to plug? Anything that you've done in the past or will be doing in the future that you want people to check out?
Sure. I am streaming on Twitch every now and again, starting to do it more often than not. It's Zero Crossing, spelled Xrossing, which is also on Facebook. But yeah, I'm probably going to do stream some Cyberpunk as well. I did the Corpo route, and now I want to go through and do Street Kid and Nomad as well.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, I think I just lost Paul.
Oh, no.
Paul is frozen. Well, maybe this is a good time to end the show.
Ben, did you hear him? He cut out. Oh, no.
Oh, you're back.
It could be that our feed stopped.
No, you're back.
Yeah, we're all back now. Okay.
We're fine here. Yeah, so Zero Crossing, check Chris out on Twitch. They stream some
I'm back.
video games.
Same thing happening.
And
Okay.
yeah, and again, thank you so much,
sound
Chris, for
design
talking
too.
to
I'm
us.
stream
Paul, we got a couple. Oh, sorry. We gotta say goodbye. So.
Wait. Yeah, Ben, they're on the podcast. I keep cutting out.
So it's time to go.
And so you probably won't be hearing.
Yeah, well, for anybody who's listening, the theme of the show is keeping it wrong. Yeah, I'm not hearing a thing you're saying.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
And
keep it wrong,
yeah,
Paul.
So just keep it wrong, Ben.
Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.
And then here's the other awkward part of the show where we just turn things off before the feed goes off, which is so much fun. All right. And